think will quit?
The score.
Who do you think will quit? You're wrong. You're going to get the shock of your life.
No, it's better to burn out than fade away.
There we go.
He is not elite yet. Tell me one elite fighter he's beat.
You want to see what the Silk said?
Yes.
I don't know whether to float or gloat.
What size feet is he, Ben?
Hello and welcome to Sugar, Silk and Stretch, arguably the best boxing podcast in the world. My name's Ben Doughty and I'm delighted to be joined this evening by former British, European and world flyweight champion Charlie Magri. Thanks for coming, Charlie. How you doing?
Thanks very much for inviting me, Ben.
Now, you know, it's a shame we don't have Silk and Stretch as well tonight, because I know I've interviewed you a couple of times now over the years, and so I know your story reasonably well, and I was looking forward to them asking you some questions too. But
yeah, I was.
Yeah. So yeah, and I know you and Gary would have known each other back in the day as
well.
I
know Gary very well. He's nice, very nice guy. You know.
Yeah, but so listen, Michael the Silk Day, who you'll remember from his middleweight contender days in the 1980s as well. He wanted to ask you before we started, like, how you got involved in boxing in the first place. What was it that inspired you to go to the gym and begin your boxing journey?
Well, I started off playing football for Millwall Youth, and I wanted to be on my own, and I bumped into Jimmy Batten, and he was a boxer. He used to play for Millwall with me, and I thought myself, I want to go boxing. So my brother took me down to the gym, down the Harbour Youth, Stepney, and I started there, 11 years old.
Were you good at it right from the off? Did you stand out right from the off?
Well, what it was, I was so determined. I wanted to fight. And I was getting carried away a little bit, but I mean, they controlled me and learned me how to box properly. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I didn't miss a day. 7 days a week.
Was that you trained 7 days a week at Harbour Youth? Yeah,
Harbour Youth. I trained 7 days a week. They were open Saturdays, Sundays, anytime you want. I just used to train all the time.
Did you have a boxing hero in those early days?
No, not really. No, I didn't. No? I didn't know much about boxing, but I mean, as I went along, you know, you got your Muhammad Ali's, and there's a lot of the other fighters and all the British fighters, John Stracey, Alan Minter, Dayboy Green. And that was inspiring me. And one day, I was top of the bill once with Dayboy Green on it and Alan Minter, and I was at Wembley. That was a great thing to be done. You know?
Yeah. But in those early days, you didn't have a fighter that inspired you, that you were trying to emulate, and someone whose style you were trying to copy or anything like that.
Well, I just wanted to win championships, and I was watching all the championships, and I thought to myself, I can beat him, and I can beat him. I was saying to myself, I can beat them, you know, and I wanted to go in it. And I went in the ABAs at 15, and I won the Class A 15-year-olds. I won about 4 or 5 fights, and I won the whole show. I won the whole ABAs juniors. Then I went in 16. I got a couple of walkovers, and I knocked 2 boys out in 1 round each. Yeah. In the semis and the finals at Crystal Palace. And what was good about that was I was 16 years old. The England coach Kevin Hickey come to the ringside, got me out of the ring, said, "How would you like to fight for England under 19s?" That was great. I said, yes, love it. I love it. I want it. Yeah.
So you were always a puncher, right? From in the amateurs.
Oh yeah, straight away.
What do you have any thoughts about why that was, Charlie? Because some fighters can punch naturally. So I've heard it said that you might be the hardest punching flyweight in British, certainly in the history of British boxing. I mean, Jimmy Wilde, obviously, some people might argue, but do you think there's a secret to punching, or was it just something you naturally had the time in? And
you got it in yourself. It's just there, isn't it? I don't want to be hit, so I'm going to hit back. And when I hit back, I want to hit back hard. You know what I mean? And then the power comes. It comes off your body and shoulders, and you know, you twist your body round. I can throw right hand, left hooks, uppercuts, and there's all different shots. That's what I've done. I used to put a combination of shots in there that frighten the opponent away and hurt him.
Yeah, and you weren't necessarily looking for a stoppage. They just came, yeah.
Yeah, it just come. No, I didn't look for it, but I mean, I just wanted to hurt the guy in front of me before he hurts me.
The scene, amateur boxing was different in that era. Would you agree that it was?
I do. I agree with that. Yeah, it's definitely different. It was much better.
Because how do you feel? Did you follow the Olympics this time, Charlie? Did you watch the boxing?
No, I didn't really. No,
You didn't really watch
I
it.
never watched. I watched one fight. I've never watched. No, none of it.
So,
It
because it
didn't
used to be
interest me
so,
at the time. I watched it on the telly, and it wasn't as good as it used to be.
it used to be so exciting, like the ABA finals back in the day, didn't it? It was on BBC
Oh yeah,
One. It was the night of the year for amateur boxing, and
the
you
ABA
used to
final
see
was
more tear
brilliant.
ups. You used to see more action and more. I don't know. It just seemed to be more charismatic, exciting, didn't it?
Oh, it was much better years ago. It was like true, genuine, good fighters. Today
Why do you
now,
think
I
that is? Do you think was there more fighters back in the day, more boxers back in the day? You think?
think they were more hungrier. I mean, like, they were more ambitious.
Yeah.
They wanted it. They wanted it more. Today,
Yeah.
it's just being cocky. You know what I mean?
Well, do you think there's anyone responsible for that attitude with boxers nowadays? I mean, do you feel it's more about hype and it's more about the press conferences and the kind of trash talk that goes on back and forth? And
Well, that's all good, really, if they can back it up. You know, if they can back it up, it's good. They can't back it
yeah,
up, don't do it. You know,
yeah. But
that's my thing.
whenever staying with your amateur career for a moment, whenever I refer to you as a 4-time ABA champion, you always correct me and say 6.
6
You say
times.
because you say that when I said to you, yeah, but 2 of them were juniors, and you said to me, it's the same thing, isn't it? And to be fair, it is the same thing. So I know
No,
you. Go
it's a
on,
real
keep
good
going.
thing to win that. To win the junior ABAs is just as good as winning the senior ABAs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you got to fight 3 or 4 times to get to the final and all that business, and it's a great achievement. And I
Did you
always
ever have to fight?
recommend it.
Did you ever have to fight more than once on the same day, as was customary back in the
Yeah,
day?
I fought twice
Yeah.
in one day. Yeah, I boxed in the junior ABAs class B. I boxed twice in one day, and I had a boy that I had to fight. There was Mohammed Yunus from Nottingham,
Yeah.
and he was 8 or 10 KOs on the trot. He knocked them all out, and when I got there, I thought to myself, I want to fight him first because I want to get him out of the way if
Yeah.
I can. What happened was I did fight him first. My trainer said to me, I ain't going to tell you nothing until we get to the ring. When you step into the ring, I'm going to tell you what to do. And if you don't do it, you ain't going to win. So he told me what to do. He said to me, go straight in there, meet him in the middle. He's an aggressive fighter. He wants to knock everyone out. So meet him in the middle, right hand, left hook, right hand.
Yeah.
And I done that and I knocked him out.
Literally, just like that.
I knocked him out. Yeah, he was on the floor and he counted out.
So, do you know? I heard the other day when I bumped into you in Victoria Park, which was the
Oh yeah,
situation led to this interview. I posted the picture on Facebook, and someone said to me to pass on to you that John Chester's, who you beat in the 1974 ABA
yeah. My
final,
first senior ABA.
first senior ABA title. I hear he passed away last year.
Oh,
Somebody's
you're joking.
no, somebody told me to mention that
Oh,
to you. Yes,
so sorry about that. No, he was a
yeah,
lovely boy. He was a good boy. Yeah, we had a little bit of a misunderstanding together on the time we fought, but
yeah.
after the fight, he was good as gold. I really had a nice chat with him. We had a drink together and everything, and he passed away. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, it was a guy. I think the guy was Liverpool based. I believe he was from Liverpool, right? John Chester's, I
I
think.
thought he was from Yorkshire.
You know what? He could have been. I think it was a Liverpool connected boxing man who told me. So that might be what the
I think he
connection
was from
there is.
Yorkshire. Yorkshire, yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
So when you were winning national titles at that point as a senior, in your mind, was it only a matter of time before you would turn professional? Did you always intend to turn professional?
Well, I wanted to turn professional, but I wasn't sure about it in my own mind. But I mean, what it was, I won all them titles, and there was nothing else to do for me in the amateurs. So I thought to myself, I got to turn pro. So I did.
Let's talk about the Olympics a little bit before that, in
Yeah.
1976, because I know that I get the impression when I speak to you that you still haven't fully gotten over that disappointment to this
Oh,
day.
I'll never get over that.
No.
Never get
For
over it.
anyone who doesn't know the story, tell us what happened in Montreal from your perspective in that
But
tournament.
what happened was I went out there and I got picked out the air against a Canadian there, Ian Clyde.
Yeah.
And he was a southpaw, good puncher and all that business. And I was very nervous and all that business. And well, anyway, I went in there about the second round. He put me down, and I got up too quick. And I stepped back to look at the clock up above us, see how long I had. I had 40 seconds to go in the third round. Would have been all over. And the referee just premature. He just stopped it. He said, no, stopped it because he wanted the Canadian to go through. See, and
Well, the Olympics was in Montreal when all said and done.
It was in Montreal. Yeah. I was winning the fight, and at the end of the day, he caught me with a good shot. I must admit that. You know.
Yeah.
As I stepped back to look at the clock up above me, he had 40 seconds.
Yeah.
I wobbled a bit. You know what I mean? So the referee just stopped it.
Yeah. What did Kevin Hickey say at the time?
Oh, he was well upset at the time. But at the end of the day, he couldn't do nothing about it.
Yeah. So he thought it was a premature stoppage as well, and
yeah,
knew that you'd have been home and dry. Yeah, they'd like to continue.
Yeah.
You didn't immediately. That was, by the way, before I talk about turning pro. That was a pretty star-studded GB team. That particular Olympiad. You had Colin Jones and Sylvester Mitty were on the team amongst others.
That's right. Yeah. It's a good team. Pat Cowdell.
There was a fella called Dave Odwell, a nice fella from
Dave
Repton.
Odwell. Yeah, he was the captain of the team. He was Dave.
Yeah,
very good fighter. Very good fighter. Yeah. Middleweight.
Yeah, do you know what? I met Dave just working for Tony Burns. You know, Tony Burns would have the vans, the TD Burns vans that would drive through London doing that kind of relocation stuff.
That's right. Yeah. He had a lot of boys working.
Yeah,
Tony Burns had a lot of Repton fighters working for him.
Yeah, and I was a coach at a Repton many years ago, and I ended up doing a bit of work for the firm as well. And that's when I met Dave, and he didn't even tell me he was a boxer. You know, I was telling him about what I'd done, my little amateur career, and then I said to him in the end, I said, because he said his name was Odwell, I said, "Isn't there an Odwell who boxed for the Repton?" He said, "Yeah, that was me." And I was like, "You're a two-time ABA champion, Olympian."
Lovely fella, Dave.
He was so unassuming. He never even mentioned it, you know. But he does tell a funny story about nicking a load of. I don't know if you caught wind of this, but he nicked a load of Russian or some funny Eastern European Olympic teams at passes so he could give them to Tony Burns and his mates. I can say this now because people have passed away, but Burnsy wanted to get into the Olympic Village.
Yeah, I remember that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do remember that story?
He nicked 4 passes for the Tony Burns and the people with him. It was 4 passes he nicked, then they got in. Yeah, I remember that.
But didn't they have like Russian names or something like?
Yeah. They had Russian photos on the ticket.
So
on the ticket, it was a Russian geezer's photo and the Russian geezer's name, and they just got through the gates. And they didn't check them out or nothing, so they got through.
Yeah. Then I heard it all came on top, and I think Gary Duff was called in for questioning, as I recall. I think he cracked under questioning actually, and then the next minute it was on top, and I think Tony got asked to leave in the end.
Yeah, he had to go.
But after that disappointment, you didn't turn pro straight away, did you? You had a few more amateur fights before you made the.
Yeah, what I done was I lost in the Olympics '76. I went back in the amateurs to win the ABAs again. I wanted to win the ABAs again and get my mind straight.
Yeah.
And I won the ABAs again, and I turned pro.
Yeah, and from what I understand, I mean, at the time you went with the guy the biggest hitter in British boxing at the time, which was not just Terry Lawless, but also the cartel, so-called cartel he was part of with Mickey Duff, Jarvis Astaire, and Mike Barrett, and they were the only act in town really in British boxing. If you were going somewhere.
That's where everybody wanted to go. They didn't take anybody; they just took all the champions. You know.
Yes.
So my intentions were all the champions were all my friends.
Yeah.
So I knew them all down there. So that's the only place I wanted to go.
And I believe Terry Lawless met you on this particular day. He picked you up, I think, wherever it was, and he said, "Charlie, I've got a plan for you. I want to know if you can fulfill it." And he outlined the immediate future to you. Did he not?
He did, yeah. He said to me that I want you to start off with your first fight at the elbow, 8 3-minute rounder, against Neil McLaughlin from Ireland, the Irish bantamweight champion.
Yeah, so he wasn't like a journeyman like most people get for their
No, he
pro
had
debut.
12 fights. He won 11. No, he won 10. He won 10, lost 1 and drew 1.
Yeah.
So that was my first fight.
And then, did he already say to you, I want you to have 2 8-rounders and I want you to have a British title fight in your 3rd professional fight?
Well, I didn't have 2 8-rounders. I had an 8-rounder, a 10-rounder, 10-rounder eliminator against Brent Griffiths from Wales.
Yeah.
It was an eliminator for the British title. I knocked him out in the 3rd, 4th.
I think it was the 2nd according to BoxRec, Charlie. I think it was the 2nd round. I think it was the 2nd round according to BoxRec.
Oh, was it? I don't know what round it was. I knocked him out in a couple of rounds, you know. And then I got my British title fight. It was 15 3-minute rounder.
Against Dave Smith at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Did you have any doubts about it? Because the thing is, obviously, if the differences between amateur and pro boxing, one of the main differences is the fact that the fights, obviously, title fights are a lot longer. Did you have any concerns about being rushed at that point?
British title fight was a 15 3-minute rounder. It wasn't 12, it was 15.
Exactly, yeah.
And I didn't have no problem with it. What it was, I had so much confidence in myself. I used to love it so much that I wanted to do it all.
Yeah, so you, and I suppose, no doubt, you trusted the people that were behind you at the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I trusted. I was full of myself. I was loving it so much that I wanted to win everything. And that was in my intentions.
Yeah. And who was mostly training you at the time when you were in those early days with Terry Lawless's stable? Who did the training hands-on, day in, day out with you in the gym? Yeah.
Well, that was Terry Lawless was there, just walking around and that business. There was Frank Black from Dagenham.
Yeah.
He used to be the trainer there, but he wasn't the greatest trainer in the world. But he was a very good man. Everyone got on with him.
Yeah.
And they all done what he told them. So he was good.
Because I believe Jimmy Tibbs didn't get involved until about 1982-ish, I believe it was, something like that, 1982, 83, when Jimmy started to work.
I used to love Jimmy. Jimmy was the best, mate. He was the best trainer I've ever been with. And I'll tell you what, he was good for the game, very good. He come to Spain with me when I boxed defended my European title.
Yeah.
And everything he told me, I done it, and I stopped the geezer in 3 rounds.
See, Jimmy used to say to me, because he said he had a personality clash with Terry Lawless at some point, and he didn't find the relationship very easy. And he said he often found it frustrating because he'd be telling someone like yourself, "There you go, Charlie. Hands just here. Move your head. Nice and easy. Just that's how you do it, Charlie."
That's right.
And he said then Lawless would come in and he'd be telling you to put your hands up here. And he said there was a bit of a battle in the gym to try and get you to box the way he wanted you fighters to box.
Bit of a difference there. There was a difference between the two of them, but I mean, at the end of the day, everyone was going with Jimmy Tibbs because Jimmy Tibbs was a boxer himself, and he was good. He was a very good trainer.
Yeah, and I believe until Jimmy came down there wasn't a lot of pad work, he said, and then obviously Jimmy was doing a lot of pad work with fighters.
He was
brilliant. Queuing up to
brilliant on the pads. He was great. He was really good. Fast punches, throw 10, 12 punches on the trot. Bang, 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 bang. It's really good. Very good.
Yeah. So after the British title win against Dave Smith, you went on, I believe you beat Franco Udella for the European flyweight title, which would have been, I believe that would have been 79 thereabouts, May 79.
Yeah, that was it, 79, yes. And Franco Udella defended the European title, I think, about 12 times.
Yeah, which...
Something like that, 12 times. And he was like 32, and I was like 24, 25, 20, no, I was 23.
Yeah.
So he was like a man against a boy, really. But I mean, I watched him fight on the video, and I thought to myself, he's only small. He was smaller than me.
Yeah.
Not a lot of fighters smaller than me.
No.
And I just wanted to get in there with him. He was very experienced, so he ended up going a distance with me. He made me ducking and diving. I was just pressuring him all the time. I was just beating him to the punch all the time, and I won unanimously. So, but it was a good experience. Very good man to beat.
I believe that a lot of the time you weren't necessarily getting the best quality sparring that you could possibly get. Being a flyweight and being in a certain, in a certain part of London, I hear they get the local amateurs lined up to try to spar with you.
We're getting loads of amateurs and all that business, but the best one out of a lot of them was that Ray Catus. He was a British lightweight champion. He was a British lightweight champion. I sparred 10 rounds, 8 rounds with him, and it was great. It was really good. We got on well,
Yeah.
We used to tell each other we're going to go hard this round, and we're going to do this round, and we're going to do that round. And it was good. We had a little understanding together. I mean, Ray,
Yeah. So what? He allowed for the fact that he was a naturally bigger guy, and you used to do good work together. Yeah.
Ah, he was good, very good. But I done loads of sparring with him, and he was the best man I've ever sparred with.
I think he passed away last year too. Is that right?
I think he did, yeah. He did. He upset me badly because he was a great friend of mine. We used to get on really well. Really well. The whole 10 years of my pro career, he was there.
Yeah. Always
I mean,
supporting and stuff.
he was a great friend of mine.
Yeah. I think I told you this before, but talking of sparring with amateurs, I think Jeff Turner from Cockney Rejects, the famous singer from that iconic punk band.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah.
From out of West Ham, he took the opportunity to spar with you once because Lawless had advertised for amateurs who could move around with you, and he says you floored him, not intentionally, with a body shot, and he said that was pretty much. I think you inclined him to have a career decision not to follow boxing after that. I think that was something that
I remember that. It was getting a little bit uncomfortable in there, so I thought myself, like, I ain't going to go for his head because I don't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
I went for the body. I went a bit too hard. You know, he went down.
Yeah.
He went down. And I apologise, but I mean,
do you think body shots hurt more than anything else when you get hit right?
I'll tell you what, I knocked out a few people with body shots, so it does work.
Does one stand out that you took yourself that really took the air out of you?
I did a couple of times, yeah, but
do you ever get floored with a body shot in the gym or
anything?
No,
never. No. Never got floored. No. I always used to tuck up. You know, they couldn't get me to the body.
Elbows in, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, elbows into your side.
I think once it happens to you once, you don't really let it happen again. Sometimes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting, by the way. One thing that struck me when I saw you Sunday, because Joe, who's one of our regular fans on this podcast, said Charlie sounding sharp and looking fresh. There's something something that you reminded me of when I saw you Sunday, Charlie, is how sharp mentally you are. You remember every damn fight you ever had. You remember every title you won. You remember all the circumstances. You are clear as a bell upstairs.
That's all I can remember is my boxing. Other than that, I've got a memory. What is it?
Memory problem.
I've got a memory problem. I've got to go to the hospital with a memory problem. So, you know what I mean? I can remember everything I've done in boxing.
Yeah. So you remember the important stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know? But it's funny, it's not funny, but it's noteworthy that sometimes you bump into fighters from yesteryear, right? Older fighters. Yeah. And I don't think we like to talk about it in boxing, but some of them don't speak so well and some of them don't look so well. When I went to Atlantic City for the Hall of Fame last year, I won't mention any names, but there's certain old legendary fighters and they're not articulating very well. Whereas you yourself, you speak absolutely perfectly, and regardless of what else you might forget domestically or whatever, you remember all about the boxing. So, why do you think it is that some fighters are well preserved, like yourself, upstairs, and other fighters have problems? Is it luck of the draw?
When I first started boxing, when I got to about 14, 15, I just couldn't sleep without thinking about boxing. You know, I was thinking of boxing all the time. Boxing was my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you get some upsets on the way, and then it just moves on from there.
So, moving on with the story of your career, I don't know if you consider it this way, but possibly when one looks at your record and thinks of the biggest scalps on it, I think the 10-round win over Santos Lassier in 1980 might retrospectively stand out as your finest win. It might not be your finest moment, but in terms of beating a great champion. I mean, that guy was champion forever at some
Yeah,
point during the
he was.
80s.
Yeah. End of the day, I found out I was fighting him. He was an Argentinian,
Yeah,
shorter than me. He was shorter than me, and he was
yeah,
tough. He was tough. I had a hard 10-round fight with him. I beat him
yeah,
fair and square, but it was a very good experience, and it improved me.
yeah.
It changed my life. You mean that guy changed my life?
What did he make you believe in yourself on
Yeah,
another level?
yeah. He was so good, and
Yeah,
I stood there with him all the way through. Right, 10 rounds, fighting away and all that business. And I won it comfortably,
yeah.
but I mean, like, he was good, and he showed me how good I was. You know, made me feel good.
You told me years ago there was something shocking about the physical size of him, even though he was short. You said the size of his head was something that kind of shocked you when you saw him at the weigh-in, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a large head.
And he was
So
a
I
bit of
put
an
myself right. That's what.
intimidating specimen, was he?
Yeah, he was a strong-looking guy. He was a right lovely fella. He was shaking everyone's hand. He was all happy and all that business. He come over to me and he nodded to me and he got hold of my hand, shook my hand and all that. I thought to myself, this geezer's good. I think his attitude showed me that he was good. I mean,
Confidence in himself, yeah.
he had a
Yeah,
confidence in himself, and he proved it as well. He went 10 rounds with me.
yeah. And
I
then,
hurt him. I hurt him a few times in the 10 rounds, and he wouldn't go down. So he was good.
and after he lost to you, he became a really, really good fighter. He was champion for a very long time,
Yeah,
WBC Flyweight champion, I believe. And
that's
he was
right.
always in Ring Magazine's pound for pound ratings throughout the
Yeah,
mid-80s, you know.
yeah,
So
he was a
that
good
was a
boy.
major win. Not too long after that, in 1981, your first reversal came as a pro. A 6-round loss to Juan Diaz at the Royal Albert Hall. Talk
Yeah.
me through that.
Well, that was one of them days that I wasn't off form on. I think I was very fit. I was happy. Everything was right. But the guy caught me with a good shot. He caught me with a lovely, lovely punch, yeah, I couldn't get away from that.
Yeah.
I went down and I was candy that.
How
I was winning the
how
fight.
deflating was that? How long did it take to get over that?
Oh God, it took me a long time.
What what did the team say? What did Terry Lawless or anybody else say about did they say don't worry about it, Charlie, it's one of them things, we'll get you right
You know what I
back?
tell you,
Or
Dane? They just leave you on your own, mate. They don't say nothing.
really? Yeah.
I was thinking of packing it all in because
Yeah.
I got knocked out. But I got up one morning and I said to myself, I'm going to go for a run, see how I feel. I'm
Yeah.
going to get back in there and try and prove myself again, which I did.
Yeah.
I've done that.
So is it fair to say that because Terry Lawless seems to have been remembered as some kindly old uncle, is it fair to say that that's a bit of a flattering kind of portrayal of him? Really,
Well,
is it?
he was a
It was more
lovely
ruthless
fella.
than that.
He was a lovely man and all that business. He used to take you around his house to stay there sometimes and have
Yeah,
dinner at the Sunday lunch and all that business and things like that. But the only thing, he was a fake.
yeah,
He was in it for himself, you know. He had all
yeah.
good fighters around him. All good fighters ran one person. It's going to make the person look great, isn't it?
Well, this is the view of most of the fighters I've spoken to who work with him. You know, the ones who are upbeat, like Jimmy Batten and Jim Watt, but most of
Yeah,
the rest of you, like John Stracey, yourself, Billy Taylor,
yeah, Billy Taylor,
Jimmy Tibbs, who did box for Lawless as well as
Jimmy
he did
Tippett.
box for Terry. Jimmy had his issues, you know what I mean? I mean, Jimmy wouldn't speak ill of him and bad thing because he's too classy for that. But I got the impression it was about him first and foremost, you know, and he wanted to be seen in the limelight, in the corner, and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. The only thing was, what happened was really, if you're Terry Lawless and you got all them fighters, Charlie Magri, John H. Tracy, Alan, this one, that one, you know, all the fighters, Jimmy
Yeah,
Batten, Morris Hope, and all that, you know, you're going to look good, aren't you? Everyone's going to want to go with you.
yeah. I mean, success breeds success, and people, trainers. I mean, I know he wasn't a trainer first and foremost; he was a manager. But trainers in particular get popular, certainly nowadays, when they get a couple of good fighters around them, and then obviously it's people follow them around.
Oh,
So
right.
you're back. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying. So obviously, at the time, there was very little competition to Lawless and Duff back then, right?
At the end of the day, though, the fighters make the trainers and the managers and the promoters, don't they? And they make them. We make money for them.
Yeah.
All the shows we do and all that business, we're top of the bill and all that business. Who earns the more money? They do.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you've spoke about in recent years was that you never got anything that reflected the TV earnings for your fights. You were getting standard purses.
Ever. I never ever got TV money.
Which is outrageous because you boxed on TV so many times.
35 times as a pro, and I boxed 6 times in the ABAs, and I boxed for England and Great Britain and all that business. But I mean, I didn't want to get paid for the amateurs because they don't pay you.
Yeah.
But as a pro, I was entitled to that.
Yeah. And so one thing that Michael Elijah wanted to ask you is what you would do differently if you had your time again. Let's suppose you're a successful decorated amateur turning pro again today. What would you do differently?
Well, I'd make sure that I speak up for myself. I want to see a contract, every contract, TV money, sponsorship money, whatever I can get.
Yeah.
I want to get for myself, not just go along with it as usual. You know what I mean?
Is there a conflict of interest when your manager is that close to the promoter, like Duff and Lawless were? Is that a conflict?
There was a little syndicate, wasn't it? Mickey Duff, Jarvis and Stair, Harry Levine, and the other geezer, Mike Barrett.
Mike Barrett. So
they were all a little clique, weren't they? You know? And then they took over this boxing.
Yeah. Until Frank Warren came along, really, and put a dent in their power.
Well, to tell you the truth, I had the best deal ever with Frank Warren.
Yeah. Yeah,
Frank Warren wanted me to fight on his bill. Terry Lawless didn't want me to fight on his bill. And I said to him, I want to find out how much he's going to pay me. Terry Lawless went, no, that's to do with me, not you.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
The money is to do with me. I mean, I got to know what I'm earning.
Yeah.
And but the only time ever I got a good deal. Frank Warren was genuine. Yeah, Shot Chittilada. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great fighter.
Another great fighter you fought, and you told me something. You said it was almost comical when you I think it was at your Title Sports shop on Bethnal Green Road, Title Sports shop, that you had a meeting at which both Warren and Lawless were present, but Lawless wouldn't speak to him. He wouldn't acknowledge him. Is that true?
Lawless turned his back on us. He turned his back on us. If you want to do the deal, Charlie, he said, you do it with him.
Yeah, and I believe that Warren was saying to you, look at him, he's a big baby.
Yeah. He said, look at him. Look, what's he turn around for? Why don't he join in? He's your manager.
Yeah.
He said to me, why don't you come with me and do all this? I don't know why I didn't. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I think in hindsight, perhaps that would have been a better thing, but it was.
Yeah.
I say it took Frank to come along and break that power base, because initially they had they had Wembley and the Albert Hall sewn up, they had BBC television sewn up, and then obviously Frank, he broke in basically, didn't he, with his enterprising kind of drive and ambition.
He did. I had a few rumours about him being a bit dodgy, but he wasn't. He was all right.
Yeah.
He was straight.
Yeah, well, Frank came from Islington, didn't he? Which obviously. I believe his uncle Bobby was a connected figure back in the day.
Yeah.
So obviously I guess he was associated with that, being part of the family. But I think Frank always wanted to be something different. Frank was never interested in that particular path in life. He wanted to make something of himself, you know.
That's right. Yeah, he did.
But so going back a little earlier, in any case, so your moment of crowning glory came on March the 15th, 1983, at Wembley Arena against Elioncio Mercedes. Was that your finest hour?
It was really. It was. Boxing for the world title and winning it as I did was very good. I enjoyed it really well. But I wanted to win when I knew from a young age, when I was about 14, 15. I won the junior ABAs, and I wanted to be a world champion. I wanted to be a world champion, and I knew one day I was going to win it, but I waited too long for it.
What, do you feel it was already? Do you feel that you were already a little past your prime when you won it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Well,
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
because
I could have. When I was 23, I defended the European title 7 or 8 times.
yeah,
Why did they make me wait that long?
it took a long time back in the day, didn't it? You had to really
I'm
play the
saying it.
game and climb
Yeah.
those rankings. Do you look at? I know you watch it, because the other thing that Silk wanted me to ask you is, do you still watch boxing? And I know you told me a couple of years ago you watch every fight. You're a big fan of boxing still.
Yeah, I'm there.
How do you feel about when you
been no
see?
boxing on, is there?
Say again.
There hasn't been no boxing on, so I mean,
Last couple of weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I didn't watch the Olympics.
no. But how do you feel when you see kids boxing for world titles left, right, and centre nowadays? I mean, do you compare it to your days and think, God, I
Yeah,
had to
I do. I
really
compare it
graft?
to our days. It ain't as good as our days. I don't think. I'm not being biased, but I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I don't think it is. What do you think?
What I think is it was a lot harder to be a British champion back in the day, so you're going to
It
get
was, yeah.
dilution at every level. I think nowadays, the way I look at it, for instance, when you look at some of the world champions of your era, Alan Minter, who did he have to defend against? Marvin Hagler.
Marvin
Jim
Hagler.
Watt. Jim Watt, who did he have to defend against?
Yeah,
Alexis Arguello. Morris
yeah,
Hope, who did he have to defend against? Wilfred Benitez.
yeah,
John Stracey, who did he have to defend against? Carlos Palomino. Do you see
yeah.
what I'm saying? Was nowadays, I think the industry has gotten a lot slicker and a lot more kind of cynical, and I think they would help them avoid those challenges today. They would drop the belts rather than fight them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because that's the business today, isn't it? You know, there's enough championships to go around without people having to fight each other sometimes. You know
oh,
what I
of
mean?
course, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So no, I don't think boxing's evolved personally. I think if you look at the fighters, if you look at the list of world champions in 1981, for instance, it's a crazy list of all-time greats, and I think fighters were hungrier back in the day. I think
Yeah,
good luck to fighters if they're making money, and they are making more money nowadays, and they are
yeah,
getting a
I'm
better
glad for
deal.
them. I'm really glad for them because at the end of the day, they deserve it.
Yeah.
A good
Um,
fighter deserves good money, you know.
For sure, but like I say, I think in your era, and you know what else, Charlie, the European title sadly doesn't seem to count for much these days. Nobody seems to really care about it, not in this country anyway.
No,
And I think that's a great shame because it was such a noble traditional title, and nowadays you see, when they get all their other belts like WBC International or WBO
yeah.
Global or whatever, just
But
ranking body belts. They pay a sanctioning fee, they get a ranking. You know how it works. We don't seem to have the
they get a
majesty.
champion of some sort, a champion of some sort. They top him the bill and all that business, and that's the way they get their fighters, isn't it?
And have you noticed that all the titles are vacant nowadays? I'm not talking about world titles necessarily, although a lot of them are. But when you look at when anyone's fighting for like a ranking body belt, it's always vacant.
Yeah.
Like nobody had it. They didn't beat a champion to get it.
I just had to pick 2 people to fight for it.
So thank you. And they give the belt is to sell the fight. They get the fight
Yeah,
first, and they go,
of course.
"We need a belt. Can we get a title for this?" So no, I agree with you. I think in your era, it was more about. It was harder. It was a harder climb. It took longer, and I think if you did reach the top, however briefly in your era, I think you really can say that you were the best, even if it was only for 6 months of your life or your career. You can say legitimately that you were pretty much numero uno, or you only had the other guy at the WBA to argue with, right?
That's right, yeah.
Whereas nowadays, I think the
I beat the
majesty of being a
WBA, didn't I? I beat Santos Lazio. He was WBA champion.
well, there you go. So
I
that
beat
works.
him, so I was WBC and I beat the WBA.
You beat the leading WBA champion. You'd already
Yeah,
beat him. So
yeah.
see, the Silk asked me to ask you why you thought you lost the title in your first defence to Frank Sedino, and I know the backstory a little bit there, and I know that you weren't happy about not being able to get a postponement. But for anyone who doesn't know that story, tell us about your misgivings about going through with that date with Frank Sedino.
Well, it was horrible, really, because I wasn't talking to Terry Lawless at the time. I mean, we
Yeah,
didn't get on.
yeah,
So I don't want to make any excuses up at all. It's my own fault. I started training somewhere else, and
yeah.
it wasn't no communication there. You know what I mean?
Who were you training with?
I was training down Dagenham Boxing Club. It was a Dagenham Boys Club, and I was doing 3 days a week down there. And I don't know. I ain't going to mention no names who I trained with, but
No.
I've done what I had to do. I've done all the running. I got down to the weight and all that business, but it didn't turn out good in the end.
And didn't you get some kind of? You said you had some sort of boil or growth on your ear, which was messing your balance up. And
Yeah.
you said you asked Lawless, could you postpone the fight because you didn't feel fully fit?
Well, that was something to do with it, yeah. But he didn't want to end the fight. But at the end of the day, I went in there and I wasn't well. I'm not making no excuses up. I wasn't well enough to fight. You know?
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have really defended my title at the time.
Yeah.
Made it a couple of months later. But
yeah,
it went on and I got beat. So I can't say no more.
What was this when you were the champion, which would have been, I believe, it was about 6 months of being champion? How was that 6 months? What was your life like? Because I remember the night or the day after you won it, you were on the 6 o'clock news. I think I saw some. I was watching through the TV shop like Rumbelows, whatever, in the local precinct as a teenager, and I think I saw you pouring champagne into a cup of some sort of whatever it was on the news.
Yeah, it was a nice celebration there. That was very good. Yeah, nice. Lovely feeling.
How long? I mean, were you up on cloud 9 for days?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah.
Did people recognise you in the
But
streets
I had the sports shop
more than
at
ever?
the time. I had the sports shop at the time, and I was getting at York Hall. There was championships there, like ABAs and all that business, and they were all coming to my shop and all that business. It was unbelievable. It was a really good year for me.
Yeah. So
it was a really good year.
You felt like you'd really cracked it and really become.
Oh yeah, definitely,
a massive success at that point. And then, so obviously, how much of a crashing down to earth experience was it to lose the title under those circumstances?
Oh, it was an horrible feeling, very bad feeling. But at the end of the day, all what went on before that and around it and whatever, it was like it was up. You know, my time was up. Losing that title, I thought myself, I was going to pack up and all that business. So
yeah, and then Cedino got beat in his very next fight as well.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Was it Gabriel Bernal or something who beat him?
Yeah, good fight that was. He was a good fight.
Yeah, for sure. So just we're chopping back and forth a little bit here. A friend of mine called Sarge has just said, "How do you rate the Edwards brothers, Charlie and Sonny Edwards?"
Yeah, very good. Very good fighters. Yeah, I was about when they first started off, and they were flyweights, you know. So, and I had a couple of paper reports with them and photos took them with them, and that. Yeah, they're very good fighters.
Yeah. How do you rate that Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the only guy that's beat Sonny Edwards so far? He's a pretty special fighter by the look of it, huh?
I never see that fight, so I can't say anything.
I'll send you a link later at some point because I think you'd like Jesse Bam Rodriguez. He's probably he's the best flyweight in the world, but super flyweight. But he's a little bit special. Just even beyond the weight division thing, he's probably one of the best fighters in the world now. One of the top half dozen. I think you'd like him.
Yeah.
But so you did decide to continue, and you obviously you had the couple of European title wins over Franco Cerci.
Yeah, Franco Cerci. Yeah, he was a good fighter. He had a good record. He was a southpaw. He was a very good amateur. Yeah, and he had a good background as a pro. He was unbeaten as a pro before I beat him.
Yeah, and I think you beat him in controversial circumstances in the first round on the first time.
Yeah,
he had a couple of gashes to his eyebrow. And there was quite a hostile crowd, right? It was quite a hostile crowd.
Oh, yeah. That was in Italy, yeah. So they were throwing things in the ring and everything. It was terrible. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I think Lawless at the time had said, like, he'd appealed to somebody, whether it was the commissioner or whatever, and said, "Listen, we're going to get killed here." You know.
Yeah. They got the police. They got security around us. They've got out of the ring, and what happened was I had to fight him again.
Yeah, yeah. You fought Sochilada next, then you fought him the next time after
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
so the Chisolada fight was your first experience of working with Frank Warren and boxing on a Frank Warren
Yeah,
promotion. Yeah,
that was right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And it wasn't a deal with Frank Warren. It was just a one-off fight with him. Yeah.
yeah. Just a one-off fight. Yeah, that's it.
It's funny here, someone's just tuned in and they said, I've seen the video of him knocking out my old pal John Chester's out in the ABA final in the first round. So that's another
That's right.
mention for John Chester's there, But
Yeah, yeah.
with Chisolada, I haven't seen that fight for a little while, but I did watch it years ago a couple of times. And it looked to me like you had a really decent go at that. Like while it lasted, you came out very positive. You were you putting pressure on him. And it was just one of those things that it wasn't your night, but it was quite upbeat while it lasted from your point of view.
Well, he admitted afterwards, about a year or two later, in the boxing news, that he said the hardest puncher I ever boxed. If he'd have hit me again,
Yeah,
with another punch, he would have knocked me out. I hurt him with a shot. I don't know, right hand, left hook. I don't know what it was, but he said that in the
yeah,
boxing news. He said if he would have hit me once more, he would have knocked me out. So
yeah,
that was out of his mouth. I mean, like,
yeah. So at that point, after beating Churchy again, as you're obliged to do to return to Italy and fight him again, where this time you stopped doing 2 rounds without controversy, your final swan song was against Duke McKenzie, which
yeah,
at the time, I can't remember the betting odds, but you may have been a favourite to beat Duke at the time, who was like a new kid on the block
I know
relatively.
what you mean, yeah,
And
I
I
know that.
simply remember you saying to Harry Carpenter afterwards, "You know what? I didn't realise he was that good." It was your
Mm.
post-fight words. What do you remember about
Well,
that fight?
I remember that, yeah, but the only thing was that was a bit of a tricky fight for me because Terry Lawless was my manager. Mickey Duff was Duke McKenzie's manager.
Yeah, yeah.
So the
So
Mickey Duff and Terry Lawless are like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so
so
they didn't want me to do so well. You know what I mean? Like, they wanted to bring the other boy up.
yeah, so you weren't the A side that night, as far
No,
as they were
I wasn't.
concerned.
No, definitely not.
No, I'm no doubt this is all stuff that you can see now, but at the time, obviously, you weren't so
I
aware of
didn't.
it.
Nah, I didn't take a notice or anything like that. But at the end of the day, you think about it when you pass your best and all that business, and you want to forget about it. Really, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't want to think about all the bad stuff.
Well, I hope you don't, Charlie, because at the end of the day, you had a glorious career. You had the kind of achievements that the vast majority of fighters can only dream of, and
Mm.
it just wouldn't seem just or fair or desirable if you were to dwell on the regrets of it. You know what I mean? Because you've been up there, haven't you? You've done it. You've
I
been
enjoyed
king
every
for.
minute of it as well. I really enjoyed boxing, and at the end of the day, I'll never forget about it.
Have you ever? Because I remember as well. You said once you lost that final fight to Duke McKenzie, Terry Lawless said to you, "Right, son, now you got to go out and work for a living."
Yeah,
Was that as callous as it sounds?
it was terrible, mate.
Yeah,
Holding
it's
me by the face, holding me by the face. I was upset. I was crying my eyes out. He said,
yeah.
"You know what you got to do now, son? Get up off your ass and go and work for a living."
I'm
That's what he
not
said
trying
to
to.
me. I've never forgot that, and I never will forget it. And it's upset me every time I think about it.
And you know what, Charlie? Without trying to deal in cliches, it is like you're exploited, like a piece of meat, and discarded once
Well,
you'd
that
exhausted
ruined
your
me for years.
usefulness.
That ruined me for years. I thought I was nothing. Made me feel like nothing.
Yeah.
And I was
Um,
good.
of course you were. I mean, like I say, you're a British boxing legend. Say some people say you're the hardest punching flyweight ever came from these islands. And I think you came about in an era when there was less choices. These days, if you were boxing today, you would have a choice whether you sign with Eddie Hearn or whether you
Yeah,
signed with Frank Warren, who's still very much alive and well, or whether
yeah,
you signed with boxer, Ben Shalom. There's more options on the table for good
yeah.
fighters like yourself today.
That's
And
right.
I
Yeah,
think
it is.
and I think no doubt you'd have earned a lot more money. But at the end of the day, when everybody's dead and gone, people don't remember the money you earned. They remember what you achieved, and your achievements
Yeah.
will, stand for life. But have you ever found anything to replace boxing in your life? Have you, in terms
Nothing.
of?
No, I found nothing. Nothing at all.
And what about your efforts when you began training fighters and managing fighters? I know you work with guys like a friend of mine like Spencer Fearon, or a guy called Harry Andrews, another guy you trained.
Yeah, yeah. I've trained a few fighters. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, but I don't know whether it was for me. I mean, I still would like to do things like that, but I mean, like at the end of the day,
It wasn't the same as being a fighter, though. It didn't give you the
no,
same sense
it wouldn't
of
give you the same feeling now.
no. And did you sometimes become frustrated or impatient when you were coaching because they couldn't do things that perhaps you found easy?
Yeah, some of the boys were like that, but I mean, I had some good ones. I had a couple of good fighters. We done well. We had some good nights. I had a lot of winners, you know.
Yeah. Why did that come to an end, do you think? Just one of them things that naturally came to an end, the coaching?
I think boxing was fading down a little bit. It was slowing down a bit, and there was no fights going on, and
Yeah.
it wasn't. Kids were going somewhere else, and you know, so I ended up pulling out of it. Really.
Yeah. What about the amateurs? I mean, do you ever feel like getting involved right back at the grassroots level again?
I've done that. I've done that as well. I've done it with the Lion Club. You know,
Yeah,
I was yeah. I was training with the Lion Club and that, and we travelled over the places and all that, and I really liked it. It was good.
yeah. So maybe that's something else you might still get involved in at some point.
Got to see what happens. Really, I don't know. I would like to, but it's not in me anymore. I don't think.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, at some point it takes a certain kind of mindset to be a coach.
Yeah,
And lot of repetition, lot of patience, a lot of
yeah,
repetition,
it's fine.
and you still get the politics, don't you? You still get the politics that follows
Yeah,
us everywhere. But you know, whenever people are involved in something, you get politics and egos,
of
don't
course,
you?
that's right, and it's not a nice thing to be involved in,
Yeah.
really.
No, well, that is the problem, Charlie. That's the trouble. That's why sometimes the older you get, you want peace of mind. I think a lot of people
Yeah,
will get to a point where they can't be bothered with the arguments anymore and all the
no,
rest of it, you know. So, and that's what it comes down to. But so, what do you think? Boxing has changed quite a lot in the last 2 years, or certainly the last 18 months, with the infiltration of the fella from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Al Sheikh. You're seeing all these big fights in Saudi Arabia. You're
yeah.
seeing big money being thrown. You're seeing Hearn and Warren working together. You saw the 5 versus 5. I mean, how do you feel about that situation now?
Well, I just really how I feel about it is good luck to the boys that are fighting today.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased for them because they're getting what they deserve. Hopefully they are. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know whether they are, but I hope they're getting what they deserve.
yeah. And have you enjoyed those shows? I mean, they've stacked the cards quite a lot. They've put cards together that you couldn't normally put together, even with a big budget. You
Yeah,
wouldn't normally be able to get all those fights on the same night, and they've been doing that. Have you been enjoying that kind of
yeah, I've
situation?
enjoyed it. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
enjoyed it all. Yeah, I love it, and I
yeah,
love to see them shining and bright and getting the right prices for their fights and everything like that.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
Fury versus Usyk. You obviously you would have watched that one.
What's that?
Fury versus Usyk back in May.
Yeah, I
I'm
watched
sure
that
you would
one.
have watched
Yeah.
it. Had an opinion. Did,
I
did, did,
like Tyson Fury. He's very he speaks a good fight, and he has a good fight as well. You know, he don't just talk; he does it.
do you think he can win a rematch?
I think he can. Yeah, I still
You
think he
would.
can. I don't know, but it's becoming too long now. He's waiting too long, and
Yeah.
his mindset is it right? You know, is he right? Is he just walking around just
Yeah.
like is he is his mind going to be right for the fight? You know,
Well, it's going to be December the 21st, just a few days before Christmas, assuming nothing goes wrong between
that
now and
guy
then.
there he's got though, he's a good fighter,
Yes.
very
Yeah.
very good fighter. He was a
Southpaw
cruiserweight.
too. Yeah.
He was cruiserweight, and he went up to heavyweight. He's a southpaw. He's got good combinations. I think if Tyson Fury beats him, he should retire and
Yeah. I don't think it gets
come
much
out in a
better than
good
that.
note. You know,
Yeah. There's a account from Repton here who just wants to ask about a few of your old stablemates from the Lawless days.
Yeah.
Are you in touch with any of those guys like Jim Watt or Frank Bruno or any of them?
No. Oh well, Frank Bruno I see every year. First Monday in November, I go to a show in Harlow.
Yeah.
And Frank's the chairman of the club.
Yeah.
And I meet Frank there, and he's good as gold.
Yeah.
Good as gold. Frank's he's lovely, mate. I like Frank. He's nice.
How about Jim Watt? You seen him in recent years?
I ain't seen Jim Watts for flipping hell, 20, 30 years.
No,
I ain't seen him for ages.
Did you spar him back in the day?
I sparred with him once.
Yeah.
But yeah, he used to get sparring partners for himself and that, you know.
Yeah. Because you don't. Another issue you had about the way the management and stuff was, you don't think they exactly went to the ends of the earth to get you sparring. I believe you got sick of the sight of Ivor the Engine Jones in camp.
Yeah.
Because you said that other people would be getting sparring flown in, and Bruno would be getting Americans brought over for him to spar with to educate him. And you said that you would get Ivor the Engine Jones day in, day out. Is that true?
Yeah. He was good. He was good, Ivor. He was good for me. But the only thing was, it was the same old thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to spar with different people, different styles, different orthodox southpaws. You know. And at the end of the day, he was very good for sparring because he was strong. He's tough. He's an hard boy, you know. And it was the same old thing. It was the same old thing. I wanted to have different sparring sessions, you know, different styles and that, you know. It was the same old thing. Ivor the Indian Jones every day of the week. Lovely fella.
It's nothing against him, but it's just a question of it's about your boxing education.
I wanted to spar with different styles, you know, so I can get used to it.
Yeah. So, talking of sparring or talking of different weights, because you said you got some good work out of Ray Catus. Michael Silkalajade, my co-presenter on this show ordinarily, he's got this theory that weight is overrated. He thinks a good fighter is a good fighter. So he wanted me to ask you, you were a puncher at flyweight. He wanted me to ask you, do you think you could hurt a middleweight, or could have hurt a middleweight if you'd have hit him? You know, if you'd have connected properly. Do you believe you'd have the power to hurt a middleweight?
You can hurt anyone if you catch him on the chin, mate.
Exactly.
You can hurt anyone if you catch him in the body. You can hurt anyone.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be pleased with that answer, because he thinks that weight, he thinks even height and reach and weight are often overrated as factors. It's not like they're completely irrelevant.
Well,
But
can you tell him from me now? I hit someone in my pub once and I knocked him out. So you can hurt him.
He was a big guy, a big guy.
He bent down to try and attack me. You know, I caught him with a lovely left hook right hand, and over he went, mate.
Was that the Victoria on Globe
Victoria
Road?
pub, yep, in the Victoria.
Did you used to have the Dundee Arms before that?
I say I had the Dundee, opposite your call.
So how was the pub game for you when you retired? I mean, a lot of fighters, or some fighters, do open up pubs.
No, I'll tell you the truth. I loved the pub game at the time, but I mean, like, it was very stressful and long hours and things like that. But it was great. It was brilliant. I used to love it. I had loads of people come in, had a lot of respect for me and all that business. And it was like being a hero again, you know.
Yeah, because if people wanted to meet the former world champion, and they'd come and see you, like the Title Sports Shop, similar thing, you know.
That's right. They all come from all over the place, you know what I mean, all over the country, like.
Yeah. So, do people? I mean, obviously, I saw you in the park the other day. Do people still recognise you? Do people still come up to you and say, "Charlie Magri"?
They still recognise me.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people say hello and they want to talk to you, you know.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Is it? Do you think there should be more aftercare for professional fighters?
Some more what?
Do you think there should be more aftercare and more support? More
support I think so. Yeah, I think they should. They should respect them more and keep in touch with them more. You know.
Yeah, because there's an ultimate disconnect, isn't there, between being that well known and being that successful and everyone slapping on the back, to suddenly that kind of desert sometimes of retirement where where people are, you know, not calling up anymore, you know, not necessarily recognise you as much anymore. It must be, it's a hard thing for fighters to come to terms with, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is.
Not have to get
There's
up and
a
run
lot of
anymore.
fighters like that. I think. I mean, there's a lot of fighters out there that are not recognised no more and all that business. And it's sad, really. I think the boxing should invite them to shows and things like that, and get them to come out personal appearances and that.
Yeah. Funny enough, you know what? I watched. Somebody sent it to me, so I watched it the other night. It was Terry Lawless on This Is Your Life.
Oh yeah, was it?
I watched that the other night. Obviously,
I've
you
never
were
seen
there,
it.
younger
Oh
version
yeah,
of yourself. Did they ever
yeah,
do you on This Is Your Life?
yeah. I was on This Is Your Life. Yeah,
That's what I'm going to watch that later. I'm going to watch
yeah.
that this
It's
weekend
on
as well.
there. Yeah.
Do you like to watch yourself back still? Because obviously,
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love to see myself back on telly and things like that. It's great.
yeah, you
It's
still watch your
makes me,
fights on YouTube, yeah?
yeah, yeah. I've seen
Yeah.
some fights. Yeah.
What's your favorite fight to watch of yourself? Which one gives you the most pride? Like that was me.
The most favourite one was when I boxed that Franco Cerci from Italy. I boxed him the first time. We had a lot of different opinions about each other. You know what I mean? Like, he was going to do this, he was going to do that, I was going to do this and that. And the way the fight ended, I wasn't too happy with that because we clashed heads and I won the fight on the stoppage.
Yeah.
But I was really happy when his promoters got me back again. They wanted to return me to fight him again because I knew I could prove myself. And I did. You want to watch that second fight? Franco Cerci, second fight.
Yeah.
I knocked him out and I caught him with a lovely shot.
Yeah. So that's the one that gives you the most pleasure to watch it back.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful, really good because the guy was good. He was a very good fighter. I just happened to catch him with the right shots, and I knocked him out in I think the second or third round.
I believe it was the second round. I think it was the second
You'll
round.
have to watch that one, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a spin this weekend. I'm sure I've seen it before, but I'll give it another watch. You know,
Nice one.
as I'm sure you will at some point. But well, it's great to talk to you again, Charlie. I mean, and I know a few years ago, it felt like you were wondering what the next chapter in life was. Whereas it feels now like you seem a little bit happier and more settled now. I don't know if that's correct or not, but you feel like a bit more well situated now. Just
well, I'm happy now. I'm with my missus indoors having a nice little chat and that, and it's life's getting better, really. Yeah.
That's what I got that impression, and you're looking good, you're sounding good. I know Tina's obviously a lovely lady, so I'm glad it's moving in the right direction for you, champ.
That's how it should end. You know, when you got a partner and you enjoy yourself. You know,
you still live in the East End, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, never left, have you? I don't think.
I left once. I moved to Barking, but.
Oh, Barking, all the way out there, yeah.
Barking, yeah. I was living in Barking for 10 years.
Yeah. See, and I'm glad. You know what? Repton Bar is. You know who Repton Bar is. Sorry, I've just realised who it is. Dave Stewart. There was a lightweight called Dave Stewart who fought John Thaxton, Scottish lad, Repton fighter.
Oh yeah.
He was. That was the one who was asking you about Jim Watt. I've just realised that his account is called Repton Bar. What was I saying? I like the way, you know, Charlie, you said, because you understand, right? A lot of people don't get this. A lot of people think anywhere east is East End. It's not, is it? It's East London and East End are different things, aren't they, Charlie?
It is, yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Thank you. Because Upton Park ain't in the East End, I don't believe it. Bethnal Green is the East End. Watling is the East End. Whitechapel is the East End.
Of course it is, yeah.
Yeah.
They call it East End in places where it shouldn't be called East End.
Yeah, West Ham is not the East End. West Ham
ain't East End, also.
Thank you. I'm really glad you agree with me on that because
I do, yeah, definitely agree with you.
For some reason, it winds me up when people talk about the heart of the East End, and they're not in the East End. What they are, they're in East London.
Yeah,
two different things. But in any case, Charlie, it was wonderful once again to speak to an East End legend like yourself. I'm glad that everything's going well. I am sorry tonight that I couldn't reintroduce you or reunite you with Gary Stretch in particular.
It's a shame now. I met Gary. Say hello to him for me and wish him all the best for me, yeah?
What I'll do, I might set up another call just with you and Gary, just a private call.
No problem, that'd be great. I'll enjoy that, definitely.
For sure. Okay. But Charlie, you can hang around briefly. Well, I'll just say goodbye to the viewers and then we'll privately say our goodbyes. But listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this interview with the former British, European and WBC Flyweight Champion of the world as much as I have. You know the drill by now. Give us a like, give us a share, tell your friends. We'll keep going. You keep us alive with it. Okay, peace.
Thanks very much, Ben. Thank you very much.